Our next speaker this afternoon is an extraordinary inventor whose contributions have changed lives around the world. In fact, has changed the very fabric of the world that we live in. Vint Cerf has one of the most enviable job titles in technology today. For more than a decade, he has served, after all, as Google's Chief Internet Evangelist. In this position, he works with policies and governments to help spread the use of the internet throughout the world. But Vint's place in our history books goes beyond this current role that he wears. Nearly a half-century ago, he joined forces with electrical engineer Bob Kahn to invent the software protocols that in the end make the internet work. This work was nothing short of revolutionary, and it has radically transformed every facet of human life today. One writer has described Vint's work as the handshake that introduces distant and different computers to each other in virtual space. It has changed how we learn, how we communicate, how we collaborate. And today, people can go online and almost instantly, and sometimes effortlessly, seek out answers to nearly every question ever posed by mankind. Important things like how well the stock market is moving compared to a decade ago, or how do you get to the Peterson Event Center after the Pittsburgh Marathon? Or most importantly of all, who really is Becky with the good hair? We know who's paying attention. Today, the internet connects us to lost family members, to new loves, and today we are doing it in ever increasingly powerful ways, mining big data, diagnosing disease, ushering in groundbreaking discoveries, and engaging experts and collaborating across the world in ways that we never imagined to be possible. For Vint's role in laying this innovative foundation, he has been recognized numerous times, including his induction into the Internet Hall of Fame. He won the Turing Prize. He has earned the Queen Elizabeth Prize for Engineering. He's been inducted into the National Academy of Engineering as the Charles Stark Draper Prize. He has won the Presidential Medal of Freedom and is a recipient of the National Medal of Technology. And as of this past Friday, he was elected a Fellow of the Royal Society. But today we're going to add yet another distinction to his crowded catalog of accomplishments. And personally for me, I think this may be one of the most important, because in just a few moments, we will bestow on Vint Cerf an honorary doctoral degree from the University of Pittsburgh. This is one of higher education and one of Pitt's most esteemed honors, which we reserve for celebrated individuals of national or international renown who serve as an example to all of us. So now, to confer the honorary degree, I would ask you to please join me in welcoming a good friend, a true technology pioneer, one of the fathers of the internet, and a technology evangelist guiding us to a new future, the one and only Vint Cerf. To confer the degree, I would ask that Chairperson Bloom, Provost and Senior Vice Chancellor Patricia Beeson, and Senior Vice Chancellor for the Health Sciences and the John Gertrude Peterson Dean of Medicine, Art Levine, join me at the stand here. I'll let you get organized here. In recognition of the ways in which your commitment to advancing our nation through science and technology, we do hereby confer upon you, Vint Cerf, the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations. Did you get your picture?
Yes.
I think he wants a picture of us.
Oh, all right.
We want this way.
Well, first of all, thank you, Chancellor Gallagher. This is my first visit to Pitt University, and it means a lot to me. I've come to the other school in the area, but this is even more exciting. I want you to understand something about Chancellor Gallagher. This morning I characterized him as the Energizer Bunny. This man has more energy than any 17,000 batteries that I can think of. And I want to thank you especially for inviting an old dinosaur to come to speak to you today. The amazing thing is not that the dinosaur has anything to say, it's just that he can actually speak. So let me try to do justice to your invitation, Chancellor. Chancellor Gallagher, members of the administration and faculty, distinguished visitors, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very special honor to address the class of 2016 upon commencement at the University of Pittsburgh. I rather imagine that many parents and graduating students are breathing sighs of relief on this day. I would speak today on two subjects: discontent and risk. As a high school valedictorian in 1961, I chose to speak in praise of discontent. It was then, and it is now, my belief that progress is not made unless someone is to some degree dissatisfied with the status quo. That such dissatisfaction can be turned into energy for change should be obvious. My personal experience with this phenomenon is strongly connected to the internet and its design. When Robert Kahn invited me to work with him to devise an open framework, an open networking framework that we eventually called the internet, it was driven in part by a desire to give the U.S. Defense Department a way to interconnect any packet switch network regardless of brand. Prior to the development of the internet, architecture and protocols, it was typical that networking was brand specific. IBM had systems network architecture, Digital had DECnet, and the Defense Department would have had to acquire computers of that same brand in order to network them. The internet was intended to provide a solution that allowed any brand of network or computer to interoperate with any other. It took many years of patient and persistent work with many colleagues to make this idea a reality. From the conception in 1973 to the operational reality required a decade of work. Another decade would go by before Sir Tim Berners-Lee, also driven by dissatisfaction with the status quo, would invent the World Wide Web, the most popular application on the internet today. I do not suggest that the class of 2016 should leave this august university in an unhappy state of dissatisfaction. Indeed, you should be very pleased to have completed your undergraduate or graduate degrees. But I would like you to reserve some room to pursue change and to improve conditions where they are not, in your view, satisfactory. Let me now turn to risk. Most of you are relatively young, at least by my reckoning. My definition of young has changed as I've gotten older, as you may imagine. That suggests to me that you can afford to take risks because you have time to recover. Moreover, it is vital to recognize that failure is not fatal. I have two personal experiences with risk avoidance I would like to share. In the first instance, I had completed my PhD dissertation in computer science at UCLA in 1972. I was invited to lecture at Stanford, where I had earlier received a bachelor's degree in mathematics. Shortly after returning to UCLA from Stanford, I was invited to join the Stanford faculty. I turned this down, thinking I had little to offer the students there. The computer science and engineering faculty refused to accept this answer and started a telephone calling campaign. The professors who had written my textbooks, like Donald Knuth and John McCarthy, would not take no for an answer, and at the end of the day, I agreed to return to Stanford, and I'm glad I did, for Bob Kahn recruited me to work on the internet, and I had the benefit of a remarkable team of graduate students with whom to thrash out the details of the design that Bob and I outlined in 1973. After several years of work at Stanford on the internet, Bob Kahn, who joined the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency after his seminal work on the ARPANET, asked me to come to ARPA to run the internet program and the related packet network programs. My best friend, Stephen Crocker, who was also at ARPA, joined in this call. I thought, if I mess this up, all my friends will know, because this is such a visible project. So I refused. Once again, I was persistently lobbied by many whose opinions and wisdom I respected and ultimately agreed. Of course, this was the opportunity of a lifetime. And I'm grateful to this day that my reluctance for fear of failure was overcome by the persuasion of my peers. The points of these anecdotes are twofold. While you're young, you can afford to take risk. In fact, when faced with choices, you can afford to take the risky road, and it may well deliver extraordinary opportunity to make major contributions. I wish each of you a productive career and life. Remember, patience and persistence count in a world that may resist change. Set your sights to make a difference at home, in your neighborhood, or in your hometown. Who knows? You may even change the world. Thank you.